All right, so here we are for the first inaugural Voltaic 2.0 podcast. Let's go. We are back at it. Volt Gang or Die. Super excited to dive into really all things the door-to-door industry, all things career, leadership, growth, and all things Voltaic, man. So let's kind of go around and kind of just introduce ourselves. And Dave, why don't you kind of kick us off?
Yeah, man. Definitely pumped. Definitely excited to get back into this iteration of Voltaic 2.0. And, I've been with Voltaic for years now, man. You guys are my family. I've been in and out of the solar game for, I would say, over about five plus years, maybe almost 6 years. With Voltaic for the last 3.5, almost 4 years, bro. In June will be coming up. So definitely been through, kind of the beginning parts of this. And, when we transitioned over recently, it was a very exciting time. And now we've continued to evolve as a group. So, I'm definitely pumped. And I've, been here from the beginning as a rep, gone through, as you know, bro, you're one of my big mentors, but, you've seen me, man. I've gone through as a rep, gone through as a DM, and now acting as director for Voltaic. And I'm just excited to now be in a position where I can help, my comrades and my reps really achieve and strive towards the dreams and goals that they have for themselves. We'll get into a little bit of Jordan here too, but, I'm really excited to really lift up our reps to be, that high caliber leader that we really need here at Voltaic. But I'm super pumped. I'm super pumped for this next chapter, man. And it's a little bit about me.
Awesome. That's huge, man. Super excited about obviously your growth and your development. I've had the grace to have watched you just transform into this incredible leader that we see here today. But talk a little bit about like before Voltaic. You mentioned you were kind of in and out of solar. Yeah. Tell us about your experience there and like what you learned, and then like how has the transition to working with a lot of the leaders like Bryce, myself, Jake Rem obviously, and some of the others here at Voltaic. Really from the start, you saw, I think Voltaic, we were maybe a year old, not even maybe, when you had come on board, years ago. But talk about your transition from kind of, experiencing the solar industry before Voltaic and that transition.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, it's so funny when we talk about this story, bro, because you and I have become so close, but we kind of serendipitously met, and I think that it was an interesting transition as you guys were formulating Voltaic and really getting boots on the ground with, what we now see as Voltaic, as the entity that it is. But at the time, I think that there's a really common tendency for people in the industry that really they yearn, right? Because there's a progression. It's like you get in, you're in door to door. So I was in door to door with a couple other unnamed companies prior to Voltaic. And, you get kind of capped because I think there's a tendency for certain, companies for whatever reasons, if there's conflicting interests, to keep people at the rep level, at the lead generation level, and I was very cramped. I knew that my talents were so much more than that, and I think one of the big things that I know you remember that day when we talked, bro, was, I looked at you, Doug, and I said, look, I just need a chance to close, right? I know I can set leads. I was setting leads 5-6 a day with all these other companies. But this is a similar story that I know a lot of people can empathize with because, you set these leads, you go in day out, you put your heart, your blood, sweat, and tears into it, and then you don't know what happens when the guy that comes in and is closing, and so this is why I just wanted more control and the ability to go in and close deals on my own. And I said, bro, just give me a chance, give me a shot. I went to Europe with my twin for about a month. Mm-hmm. And I got back and I said, bro, I'm ready. Let's just go. Let's go head first into it. So I was blessed to have a good opportunity. I closed the first 2 deals that I set on my own, myself, Jens, and then I started getting, POA, PPA, knock them out there real quick, And then after that, I just started closing, I had the luxury of we had a good lead stream at that point. If you remember, we were doing more of a setter closer model. And I had the luxury of being fed a ton of leads and kind of bumped my way through it, and figured out how my style worked and what I figured out my way of closing. And so here we are, I'm a homegrown product. I've been through the solar coaster, as it were, right? And one of the good examples of when opportunity meets preparation, right? When preparation meets opportunity, right? And you have, one shot, like Eminem, right? Yeah, the one shot, you got to seize the moment, right? And I think that I just always wanted that, and I just always needed that, and I'm so grateful. I'm so eternally grateful.
Yeah, dude. I remember. I remember when I met you. I was just like super impressed with just who you are, your charisma, like your energy. It was instant. Like, those type of people where you meet and you just know instantly, like, oh, this person's gonna be my friend forever, right? And like, we were just like brothers from the day one that we met. It was just like fireworks, bro. It just blew my mind that I was like, oh my God, this dude's so talented. He's so articulate. It blew my mind that you'd been in the solar industry for so long and you hadn't had the opportunity to get in front of a homeowner and actually do the full sales cycle. Your background's insane. Like, master's degree, like talk about that.
Yeah, man. I mean, I have a master's in social entrepreneurship and change from Pepperdine. So I think one of the big, I think sometimes there's a tendency for professionals to come in here. It's like, oh, I don't want to knock doors and I don't want to put in the work. I'm like, I wear that like a badge of honor on my sleeve. I have a master's degree, bro, and I knock doors every day, right? And that's a choice, right? It's a choice because, there's nothing that's going to offer me the types of opportunities and the doors that can open up like this industry, and again, it's just that opportunity and having that chance. So, I think when I got my master's degree, I thought to myself, man, I'll never have a boss again. I tell this story a lot, kind of tongue in cheek, like I didn't want anybody to tell me what to do, And it was interesting coming into Voltaic because I think it takes a certain leader to lead me, And this is why I love you guys. And it's my brother right here because he knows how to deal with me because I have this mentality where I'm like, I don't want to be contained, right? I don't want to be like, I'm my own person, my own boss, and I want to be in charge of my own life and in control of my trajectory. And I think that the only way that this worked was by having the leaders in place that I respected, right? Because I come in and it's like, oh, I'm hot shot. I think I know what I'm talking about. I set leads and I have this master's degree and stuff like that, right? And so I needed to come into a situation where I look up to my mentors the way I look at you, where I look up to Bryce and ask questions, and I needed that knowledge, but it also needed to be reciprocated, right? And so I think it was just a perfect sort of situation for that type of dynamic. And even though I am, I am Voltaic, man. I am so Voltaic, right? But I am also my own. You guys give me the opportunity to still be myself and be my own boss and be my own entity. So it fits like a glove, and it's what I was meant to do,
Yeah, I mean, you're just scratching the surface too, like especially with like what we have planned and what we've been cooking up of growth, dude. Yeah, and the part you're gonna play, I'm so excited to see that. And like, you talked and you touched on a couple really like key things there that I think so many of us like run into in the door-to-door space where like the thought process, like whatever our backgrounds were, what we were doing before this, it's so different than this space, in this world, in this arena. And like our perception of what direct door-to-door sales is like so different. It's just so different than what it actually is once you actually get into the solar space. And I think actually the solar space specifically, it is so different than every other door-to-door product that's out there. But a lot of us have this big hurdle we have to get over, this egotistical hurdle that we have to smash in order to go knock on a door, right? Like, talk about how you were able to overcome that. Because like, it's not just our own internal pressures we have to deal with. It's external pressures. People are like, yo, you got your master's, you're gonna go knock on doors, bro? Yeah. Like, are you kidding me? I mean, like, probably your family was like, had questions, like, and then you even like, how did you, like, what was your process, like, kind of going through, like, when you first got introduced to the space, even before you got into Voltaic? Like, how did you, like, get over that hurdle? And then, like what type of pressures did you face? And how did you, like, kind of shift that perspective in their eyes, in your career?
It's a great question because I think that it's a big, I don't want to bash door to door, right? Because it's so near and dear to my heart. But bro, I'll tell you straight up, before I got to Voltaic, straight up, I was so done with knocking doors. I was so done. The reason why I went to Europe for a month or whatever and took this time was because I was like, bro, do I really want to do this? Yeah, I just got a master's degree. I can go cash out. I can do whatever, right? And it was something that just told me, just take the risk, take the risk, and there's a risk reward. But I think it's an easy transition, Nick, because when you think about it, like, there is nothing, I said this a little earlier, but there's nothing that I've ever experienced, even with the master's degree, even with the background that I have, even, with my talents and my skills, that offers this type of upside, and when I started to get some kind of traction, I realized really quickly that all Voltaic wanted me to do was to be myself, and the more I can just be myself, the best version of myself, that I would reap the benefits and reap the rewards. So, like, honestly, you always talk about our biggest obstacles are our biggest opportunities, and this is a great example of that, where, I think I'm very unique in my mindset. I think that's why I'm good at this, because I'll look at a situation like this and I'll say, I don't care how afraid I am. I don't care how much of a risk. I don't care how much I have to humble myself. I know that if I put myself in this position, not only will it reap benefits for myself, but now as I continue to grow, the reason I stay, because that attracted me initially, but the reason I stay is because it allows for me to water other people's plants, right? To help lift other people up. And my master's degree is in social entrepreneurship and change. It's a mouthful, right? But it's just basically using business to give back to the world, give back to the environment, so that business benefits everybody, the customer, the reps, the employees, the staff, everybody from top down. Every business is meant to help people, right? And so, like, there was a lot of different ways that my life could have ended up, but it makes a lot of sense that as a master in social entrepreneurship and change, I'm using my career and my business to help my reps, to help the homeowners, to help the environment, like, those things matter to me, and so when it works, it works, and it just kind of gelled together for me.
Absolutely incredible, man. Such good stuff there, and like we talk about mentorship, one of the people that I've learned more in this industry from, like, I don't know if there's anyone that I've learned more from and with than my partner here, Mr. Bryce Felkner. And I watched him just absolutely mentor you from day one. And he's done that for so many others, including myself, and not just solar sales. I think we've mentored each other in a lot of different ways and learned a lot from each other. But he's mentored me and helped just pour so much into me, outside of this business. And that's what makes this unique, right? Is that, like, I always tell people, like, what's really unique about our space is that, like, sure, like it's a, like, this crazy once in a lifetime opportunity where people are 100% going to make, like, they have an earning capacity and earning potential, like the greatest earning capacity of our time. It's like the unicorn of sales, which is solar sales right now. And so, like, most people, after they go through our training program, go through our development, they buy in, they're consistent, they're disciplined, they're going to earn at a higher level than they probably ever have in any other position they held prior. But I always say, like, that's like one of the, that's just a perk. That's just one of the cool things about being in our industry. I think, outside of that, like, obviously the financial change that happens and comes from this industry, the things that are way more important than that are the relationships. Number one, these relationships, like, you can't put a price tag on the bond that I have with you, right? You can't quantify that. It is so special, right? That obviously the skill sets, the high income skills that we're learning by being able to be just, technicians in a closing situation, which is so cool. But like, I think most importantly, it's the person you become, the person that you become through the process of just, like, eating shit and going hard every day.
Straight up.
You know what I mean? Like, we just go hard every day, and, like, the process of just being willing to go out there and do it every single day and just be fearless, right? That process of who we become, I think those things are, like, far outweigh the income and the money that we make. But, Bryce, dude, give people a background on you because, dude, you're one of the most gifted human beings I've ever known. But what I've grown in, outside of just your just guru level knowledge of solar is just how to be just an incredible human being and to help my spirituality. We share a common faith in being Christians and whatnot, and give please tell people who you are. Give them some background because everyone in the world needs to know Bryce Faulkner.
Well, thank you so much. Obviously I have certainly a unique background from a lot of people, and so I end up going by many names in this in this industry. So my name is Bryce Faulkner. For those of you that don't know me, I'm the Chief Sales Officer at Voltaic, and my background is unique in the fact that I'm a child of missionaries. So I was born and raised in the jungles of Peru. I didn't wear shoes till I was 10 years old, right? So it was just very, very free and open childhood. Just learned a lot, but also just got to experience a ton of things. In a fairly safe and kind of confined environment. And then my family moved to the capital city of Lima for a couple of years, and then we moved to East Africa, into Kenya, and that's where I really would consider myself growing up. Right, I was from 5th grade to high school. And for me, I've, obviously had the blessing of being able to see the world in a much broader perspective than many people would by age 18. But what I really loved about that experience growing up was that it taught me that there are people in the world who just do things differently. And it's not only okay, it's good. And I think just learning that other people approach situations different, they approach family different, they approach business and everything differently is something that I try and bring into a lot of my life and figure out, well, why does somebody do the thing that they do? Why are they the way that they are? And if I can understand who a person is at their core and where they come from, well, it makes me better at a lot of things. It makes me be able to help, guide and lead somebody that way. You were kind of talking about, Dave, just trying to identify the things that will make a sales rep or a manager be able to lead and do their job well, but also, a homeowner and how they think about, me coming to their home or knocking on their door or any of that kind of stuff. So, I try and come from that sort of background. My college degree was in family and human services with a minor in psychology. So I started working for a company after I graduated after college, which was doing production-based work for adults with mental disabilities. And so I was in what would be called a sheltered workshop back in the day. And, we had about 200 adults with varying levels of disability, from high-functioning autistics to people who, had Down syndrome, and just people all over the spectrum. So I feel like, and I've said this a number of times, that I really honed my communication skills there because I was required to get production work done and everything out in certain time frames. But I was working with a group of the population that struggled to understand some of the basic concepts sometimes. So learning how to simplify ideas, make it make sense, that has been an invaluable lesson for my whole life, And then just when I got to California and I sort of just fell into the solar space, I just gravitated towards the helping side of it, because I think that you can approach sales really well from a helping side. And if you can do that and learn to serve as many people as possible, that's when your income really skyrockets. That's when your fulfillment really, increases. And that's really where I find so much value on the sales side, is being able to do that. But the thing that I am probably most excited about, and the thing that I most love to do, is to help leaders learn how to lead. Because I've gravitated towards leadership in everything that I've ever done since the 3rd grade. I have to find a way to be the captain of the team or be on student government. I wanted to be that guy, and I just always loved it. And so, this vehicle has given me just something that I don't know if I ever would have had I not just fallen into it, which was an opportunity to mentor younger men and women and be able to teach people the lessons that I've learned and help them begin to use their own gifts to be able to master that, to be able to sell, to sell with integrity, to approach it from service, but also to be able to give back to one another. and just trying to create that team environment, So from a management perspective, I would say that my philosophy of leadership is really relational management, because I do believe that you need to be friends and you need to be able to get into people's lives enough to be able to say, cool, I understand why you tick, and I understand why you do this way, and here's how we change that, and how we fix the issues you may have, but also how we can lean into your strengths. Because, as nice as everything you said about me is, there are lots of people that I need that do things very different from me to make this business work, to make these things grow, right? You and I have grown up together in this industry, and we approach business from philosophically from a very similar perspective, but like in practicality and in like output, we work very differently, and that's a good thing. And Jake and Remy and even Dave and Jordan, just like finding people who are not like you and leveraging that to be better. That to me is the game changer, and that's what makes a company special in this industry.
Yeah, you make such a good point, man. Like, there's not just one recipe, right? Sure, there's obviously different things that people do that you can see a blueprint where it works well, and then you try to put the hats, those people that kind of could fill that type of role, put those people in those seats. But at the end of the day, everyone approaches things differently, and like I've learned so much from you. Your strengths are sometimes my weaknesses, and my strengths are sometimes yours, for sure. But like, what would you, I have Jordan on in this podcast because he's the newest leader to the Voltaic team. We have, Bryce, who's, pretty much at the tip of the spear with myself being our CSO, highest level leader, Bryce is a guy that's a leader that's developing other leaders how to lead, right? And then we have a guy that's, like his first layer of leadership. Actually, before he was a mentor, so that was his first layer of leadership, and that's kind of how our structure works, which we might talk a little bit about. But so like Bryce, like you talk about your philosophies and like you really want to, like, what advice, like for you, if for someone like a rep that's looking to become a leader in this space, to looking to be a leader in Voltaic, like what are those things that, like, what are the things that someone that wants to become a leader, like what are the things that you think in their eyes, or what do you think that they should be doing, right? What are the how should they approach their day to day, and like how do you identify leaders?
Yeah, no, there's so many layers to that, and honestly, it could be a whole podcast in and of itself. Is just like how to approach leadership in this industry. I think one thing for prospective leaders is you have to be growing, right? You have to be seeking out new knowledge, reading books, listening to people, following the people around you. Like, you've got to be trying to better your skill set. I'm a firm believer that anybody, and I wish we could, even the leaders of our country would sometimes realize that, like, leadership is way more about service than it is about anything else. And I think that if you're looking to be a leader, like, I have sacrificed a lot of potential income and a lot of potential, different things throughout my career in deciding to spend a lot of time developing other people. And I think that that's something that I value so much. I would put all kinds of time and money into it. But that's the balance for leaders in this industry, is that you cannot only be service driven, where you just spend all your time teaching and stop doing, because then you lose your skill set. You lose a lot of the income that you need. And people in this industry, they care to see people doing the job, right? And so when someone comes in, they want to see, hey, how do I do this at a high level? And they look to their leadership for that. And if their leadership is spending all their time, just working on, new programs and stuff, which is something that I love to do and do a lot of, you can lose the ability to not only continue making the income that you deserve, but also to actually, gain the trust and respect of the people that you're leading. So I think that I would definitely think you need to be approaching it from that. You need to kind of constantly be learning and developing your skill set. And then I would say probably the third thing for me is really just that, like, you have to be humble enough to just ask, right? Like, seek out other leaders and seek out other people that are doing that. And you know, in this kind of iteration of, you know, Jordan sort of being kind of like an assistant district manager, it's like, how do you add something to the leadership team that you're coming as a part of? Like, what do you bring to the table that maybe isn't there, and how do you know, specialize in that so that you can say, cool, like I do this, you know, really well. But if you have a good mentorship program where you are being mentored by somebody and you are mentoring somebody else, you approach your job from service and you're growing, like the sky's the limit for a leader when you do that.
Love that. So yeah, I'm excited to introduce Jordan Tafoya. Jordan, man, for, you know, everyone that doesn't know you, why don't you kind of just introduce yourself, tell a little bit about your background and kind of your role here, man.
Gotcha. So my name is Jordan. I guess I'll probably cut to the chase basically at the point when I moved to LA. I moved to LA about 3-4 years ago, I think 2019. I have a background in a degree in finance, business management. Music is also one of my biggest passions and hobbies. So my goal moving out here was to kind of like merge the two, try to work out, obviously in the mecca of the music industry in Los Angeles, in the like business side of that. So that's how I ended up in Los Angeles. I'm born and raised in California, spent some time in Seattle, but moved here from Seattle. So yeah, I mean, I kind of like gave it, I don't know, 6 to 8 months kind of looking to land something within that space. Dabbled in some things, nothing kind of came to fruition. And to be honest, I was at that point in my life kind of, fairly dissatisfied with just like my career path. So one day I literally just sat on the couch, fired up Indeed. I have 0 sales experience in my life. I knew that I knew that there's money in sales. And to be honest, obviously when you're searching for jobs, it's kind of the one thing that is on your mind, obviously the income potential. So I also knew that I wanted to, if I was going to sell something that I believed in. And I knew solar sales was a particularly hot kind of like industry. So applied to a couple places. Actually got hired to 2 different places. Funny enough, I accepted both offers that started on the same exact Monday. Voltaic was one of them. This other company, I don't even remember the name. But I remember that night, that Sunday night, I was still mulling over, okay, I said yes to both these people. Whose office am I going to show up on Monday? So kind of weighed the options, and then very, very fortunate that I ended up walking through the Voltaic doors. But yeah, that and funny enough, that was, and my path and within this industry it started out kind of like rocky, circuitous, because I literally started at the very beginning, the onset of the pandemic.
Oh yeah.
So I got hired, what was that, March?
Yeah, like 2020.
I got hired, knocked with David maybe 2-3 days. And then the whole world kind of went to shit, right? So
Wild.
yeah, so what I ended up doing is I actually ended up going back to my parents, staying with my parents in Northern California for a couple of months, kind of stayed loosely attached to Voltaic. But in my mind, I was almost thinking like, okay, I gave it a shot. Maybe like the universe is trying to tell me something. There's this unprecedented global pandemic. Is not. Maybe I'm not supposed to be doing this.
Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't be knocking on doors.
Yeah. So yeah, kind of stayed like loosely attached. I remember making like cold calls in my parents' garage. Never done anything like that either. And actually Bryce ended up, I remember closing actually one of them. So literally made money making cold calls in my parents' garage.
Dude, I remember that time. That is so crazy. So we literally had never, we had, by the grace of God, we had started flirting with the idea of starting a virtual sales team right before the pandemic hit.
Online ads all.
Yeah, online ads and all that. And so but we literally had to shift our whole business model at that time. And I remember and that's what business owners do. That's what you find the solution. You don't focus on the problem, you find the solution, right? And so we got into solution quick, developed ads, developed scripts, developed, just training out of nowhere, we decided instead of like, we doubled down in investment. We're like, okay, we're going to get Grant Cardone University. We're going to train our guys and like be able to sell. And like, we were just on Zoom constantly, like kind of reviewing the different Cardone University content we were on. And I remember like you were the first person that was like always on every single Zoom call there, just chilling, like always. I'm like, oh, this dude's bought in. Let's go. You know what I mean? And it kind of sucked at that time. We had like 40 reps in Illinois that. In Illinois, I think they're like still shut down. They might have lifted the ban, but like lost like 40 reps, but certain people stayed. Jordan was one of them, right? Like talk about that evolution, man. Like from that time on. Sorry, I kind of jumped in.
Yeah, no, it's all good. Like I said, I stayed like loosely attached. Like when I accepted the job, I accepted it with this mindset. Again, I had no prior experience in sales, but I had like I'm going to give it X amount of time, like a no matter what, right? Mine was like, I'm going to give this a year, no matter what. I had no really expectations of how easy or difficult it might have been, but just it was something that I'd never done before sales. So I was like, I'm going to give it a year no matter what. Obviously, the pandemic threw a giant wrench in it. So, yeah, I mean, my mentality at my parents' house was just like, okay, this is still a no matter what situation, right? This entity, this business still exists. There's still an avenue to work. So that's kind of what I did for a couple months. And then obviously I think it was the summertime when things started to settle down a little bit and people started to be more okay with people knocking on their door.
At least we decided. At
least we did.
Yeah. It was like June, July. We're like,
we'll just send it.
Yeah, we're just tired of these Zoom calls. Let's get back on the door.
Yeah. So I came back. It was like the summertime, and that's really, even though I consider technically I started in March, but my real like start date, because this industry, our job is literally knocking doors. It's not making cold calls in a garage, right? So yeah, really, I consider myself that summer really starting, getting like my feet wet, knocking doors, understanding what it is to set leads. But yeah, that was about two. I think I'm going on 2 years now, and it's been a slow and steady grind. But that's kind of like my mindset that I utilize. That I feel like I utilize within this job, right? Everything is like a slow but consistent like move forward. So 2 years, some people may reach leadership within 6 months, whatever. I feel like everything I've done in the last 2 years has been a slow and steady grind and improvement and growth, right? And this, like you said, I newly appointed ADM. I didn't have any sales experience. I kind of proved to myself that if I put in the work, I can do that. I can accomplish that. I can be successful in that. So it's the same type of approach that I'm taking within leadership. No leadership experience, but again, it's all about like putting yourselves in positions that are uncomfortable, and just like leaning into that discomfort and then continue to grow. So that's basically where I'm at this point.
I think that's one of the things that I probably that I admire most about you. Is in that like. So I remember, that transition, like there was a couple months, that you kind of started out, working, and then there was a couple months where you were very hit and miss. And I remember even just having a conversation with David, and I was like, is this guy, is he here? Is he gone? Like, I don't really know. It's a crazy time. Is he, and then seeing you actually come back and actually plug in, I was not expecting you to come back, having seen that. And so seeing somebody that just stayed through a hardship and then came in. And then, like I said, you have always been somebody who asks great questions, and you ask a lot of them. Yeah. And honestly, like that's like people sometimes, get frustrated with questions, but if you're a good leader in this industry, that's what you want. You want guys who are actually there asking questions, engaging. Oh, this happened. How do I do this? Changing this. And so like you've always been so open to that and so open to feedback and growth. And, you have some pretty impressive now accolades having been here. I remember the first day you hit 4 deals in a day. Like that was, like this, again, coming from a guy that has, no background in sales or any of that kind of stuff, what are some of the things that you've done so far that you feel like most proud of since you've been here?
Obviously the 4 in a day is something to be proud of. That was a really mentally exhausting day. Started at like 8 a.m. and But yeah, pretty
Are
much.
you gonna talk about it? You want to talk about
4
it?
deals in a day. It speaks for itself.
Because we're in a competition. We're in a competition.
That's true. That's true. Which I beat him.
Yeah, he did.
But I mean, what was the quite like?
Like, what are some things that you've done since, like, in the last 2 years that you feel like, you know, most proud of?
Oh, I mean, just like continual growth. It's like knocking on somebody's door is a super uncomfortable thing to do if you've never done it before. I remember my first door, like literally my physiological reaction, I was shaking and like nervous. And I feel like that's probably not uncommon, right? It's a strange job that we have. Yeah. So I just think that like constantly battling through that uncomfortability, and just like moving forward and continuing to grow. It's like now the idea of knocking on somebody's door is like second nature, and it's no butterflies, no anxiety. Walking into somebody's house that I don't know and, you know, spending hours with them is not like an anxiety inducing thing to me anymore. And that's simply just because I allowed myself to do it and do it again and again and again. And eventually it just becomes, it becomes doable. And that is simply just like, you know, leaning into that discomfort and continuing to grow in that. So I just think just the personal growth. Obviously personal growth is something that we're always talking about, and preaching, but like to take a step back and realize that and acknowledge that you've actually like, achieved that personal growth is really, I feel pretty special. Yeah.
Sweet. That's amazing. Such good stuff, man. Yeah, watching your development, man, has been super special. And like for me, you know, like, you know, I remember, you know, because I'm always talking to David, like, okay, like, so we're talking growth. All right, we need to grow. Like, who's next up? Who do we have like that? Like, who's hitting? Obviously, we, you know, numbers is one thing, right? We look at the numbers and we, you know, some people are eliminated just by not even hitting those requirements. And then those people that are in those number requirements, like, then like, okay, well, who has the intangibles, right? Who has those skill sets that or those intangible things that sometimes you can't even really explain, that, you know, like who has those things in order to qualify to be a leader here at Voltaic. And I think like leadership for us, like I think we approach it differently. Like I think we like have our own unique way of approaching it. Like I know like a lot of companies out there, they're just gonna like, okay, like they're gonna put their highest producing sales guy. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that companies make, is thinking just because you can sell a lot means that you can be a leader, because that's just not the case. Exactly. Right. But I just remember the process of like, okay, looking at like 3 or 4 guys where like, it's like, okay, like, and it was me and you both unanimously just looked and said, it's Jordan before you, right? 100%, man. Yeah. So, super excited to see what this guy does this year with us, man. Dave, man, like you've been such a mentor to him. You know what I mean? Yeah,
man. I wanted to jump right in, Nick, because it's interesting. You know, John C. Maxwell's like 5 levels of leadership, right? Like Jordan is, brother, you are somebody that you just are that leader, you know, like, you know, you can give a title to somebody, but that doesn't make them a leader, you know? And when I look around the room and I look at events and I look at the, you know, the O-Block and like our guys and like the veterans and like these guys, it's like right at the center, Krispy Kreme, who's obviously not here, Ty Tran, who's not here either, but Jordan, you know, he's just a constant presence and somebody that, you know, just holds down the team, you know? And you hit it right on the head when you're like, hey, we're talking about we approach management a little bit differently, you know. And I think that for me, what's exciting about Jordan is that we all see the potential in what your future has, and it's so exciting for me to see you realize that, like, it's going to happen. You know what I mean? And to see, I know what you see when you look at Jordan. And I know what you see. And I know what I see too. And like from where you will get to where you are right now, like that's what gets our, you know, our juices flowing. That's what, for me, like, that's what it's all about. That's the good stuff.
Yeah, that's why we do this. You know what I mean? It's like, sure, great. Like we can go out, sell a cool
Yeah.
product and service and serve people. You know, sales is the highest
Yeah.
level of service that there is. And I truly believe that. Shout out Uncle G. You know what I mean? But, you know, at the end of the day, it's the impact that we have on people. You know, it's impact over income for me. You know, that's my mantra, impact over income. And the fact that we have an arena where we can just go out there and impact so many people day in and day out. I mean, how blessed are we? How many people have this type of platform? Not many, right? There aren't many platforms out there where you can really truly change people's lives, like front to back, you know, professionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, right? We have the opportunity to do that with the way that we approach business, which is different. And I think that's, you know, ultimately the reason, like, you know, Volt 2.0, it's like, you know, we have a unique identity about us, and you know, and for some people it's not the right way to do it. You know, for us, it's our own special recipe that has, you know, generated this special thing. I mean, what we have here at our team, it is special. It is special. I mean, the level of closeness, the level of just relationship equity we all have with each other, man, it's so unique. And I'm so excited to just continue to build on that. You know, it's just seeing the evolution, even through, like, you know, the transitions and the different things that we've done as a team together, and just everyone just being unified and saying, no matter what, we have each other's back, no matter what.
Bro, yesterday we were at my mom's house for Super Bowl, right? Shout out to the Rams, you know what I'm saying? All we do is win. But no, you know, and I was looking around, you were at the barbecue, and I told you this. I said, bro, look at our family, you know? Like, that is something that is so priceless to me, you know? Like, you know, we work hard, we play hard and all that stuff, but like the family, like, dynamic that we have is so real and means so much to all of us. You know, for me, it's one of the most gratifying things that I will ever experience, because I've been on baseball teams, I've been a part of a lot of different stuff, you know what I mean? And just you know, how gratifying that feeling is to go to war together every single day, break bread together, and to trust each other. You know, we to trust each other to go through those transitions, you know, and to go through hardships and to go through the things all over again, and cycles that come and go, you know. But what remains, you know, the people that remain is people that go through the pandemic, you know, is people that will continue to be close no matter what. You know, I remember Bryce helped me through one of the hardest times of my life. You know, I'm talking, like, when, you know, I'd gone through a severe breakup, right? And so, you know, all of those things are just like, you know, there's storms that we are able to weather because of that foundation, you know? And I just feel like, bro, like, the sky is the absolute limit when you put all those things together.
Yeah, and it's so cool that we have the opportunity to expand our family. You know what I mean? And like all the visions that we have behind doing that, so that, you know, because I truly believe more people need to be exposed to our culture.
100%.
People need to know that, oh, like, there is a company out there that really cares. I mean, really, really cares about me. And I can be me, unapologetically me, and be accepted, and like find this brotherhood and sisterhood of people that are willing to do whatever it takes to make sure you are successful, and are going to help you go to new like levels and up level you in every single area of your life. Like, people need to be exposed and like know that there is an authentic company and organization like Voltaic out there waiting for them to press the apply button, you know?
I think that's, you know, I mean, I think that's what every business wants. You know what I mean? Like, hopefully, if you're in business, it's because you feel like you have something special to offer. You know what I mean? In this industry, so many people confuse, you know, what culture really means. You know what I mean? Because culture is seen as like the swag that you get, the gear, the trips, the events, like the perks. Those things are so fun, but those are just the perks. That's the perks, for, you know, for doing your job and doing it well. Culture, you know, I was reading, I can't remember the person anymore, but I was just reading a book on culture recently, and it was not about business, but culture is defined by the languages, traditions, and the events that happen within a people group. And so, like, specifically when it comes to like our company, it's like the way we talk to each other, the language that we use, the things that we talk about, but also like the way that we interact with one another, like the family kind of approach. Everybody, it's a buzzword, and it drives me crazy because so many people will just be like, oh, like, we're a family here. And all they mean by that is this, that like they're, that people spend a lot of time together, you know what I mean? But like we've found something that makes people actually want to spend time together out of work. They want to spend time together when we go and we blitz. And, the relationships run deep and people fight, and then they come out of it better because they had some disagreements. And that's what family's about. Like that's the stuff, so it's you made it a great point, Nick, when you said like it's about finding people that really care about you and want something good for you, want somebody that cares enough to say, look, I'm going to give you the hard truth. I'm also going to, be a shoulder to cry on. Like we're going to get through this. And if you can put in the, no matter what, like I'm going to give myself some time to figure this out, like you'll find something that you have probably wanted since your adult life. People crave,
I mean, let's
that
be
kind of
real.
connection.
Sorry, Bryce.
Good.
Let's be real. Like everyone wants, oh, I want a family environment. Oh, culture is most important. All this stuff, but it's got to be genuine. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the difference here. Like, I didn't just like, how long has it, Chris Ortiz told me that he barely met my mom for the first time yesterday after 3 years. It was the weirdest thing. You know what I mean? I'm like, I feel like, we would have somewhere along the way. And I'm bringing this up because every single person yesterday, man, my mom came up to me yesterday and she was like, I thank you. Your friends are so wonderful, because I didn't have to go out and like, hey, regulate and something. Like everyone came up to my mom and everyone picked up afterwards. And it's just like this vibe, bro, that we just respect and love each other so much. And it's just that genuineness. You can't fake it.
Yeah.
You just can't fake it, bro.
I mean, that's like I said, man, what we have, there is no faking it. It's authentic, it's genuine, and it's real, and it's ours, and we're proud of it.
Yeah.
And we're proud of it, and we're unapologetically us. Sure, we're different than some teams out there, and we are okay with that.
Yep.
But we're different in just the best way.
100%.
You know what I mean? And it's just through authenticity and sincerity and being genuine about who we are. And we can go out there day in and day out and compete against each other and compete hard. We value winning, we value up leveling, all those things. But at the end of the day, we can kind of have like little banter and trash talk, whatever. But at the end of the day, man, it's love. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's love. That's what we have here is love. And it's deeper than business. I was talking with Chris Ortiz, one of our DMs, and he was like, "Yeah, man, like, dude, like." He came up to me yesterday at your party that you throw, and he's like, "Man, look at what we built. Like, look at what you built. Yeah. Like, this is unbelievable." You know what I mean? And I was like, "Yeah, bro, it's it's deeper than business, man. It really is." And but at the end of the day, it comes down like a business needs systems to survive.
100%.
It needs processes. It needs to have some uniques about it that allows people to have success. And we're lucky to have just a lethal team right now that is having a ton of success. We got hitters on our squad, man. We do. I think in the years that I've done this, I was saying to I think you, Bryce, or someone, in the 7 years that I've done this. I think this is the best team we've ever had talent-wise, just well-rounded in terms of just like if someone had 4 appointments guaranteed held a day, like they're closing, three of those, what I mean, 2 or 3 of those for sure. Like everyone's closing 50+%, and that's through just our systems and our sales process that we take a lot of pride in. And so, Bryce, I guess my question for you is we've obviously we've put a lot of work in developing some unique systems kind of in this new iteration of Voltaic. And, we learned a lot in our last place, and we took, we're taking all those strengths with us, but ultimately we know like we have a really strong vision of what's going to get us to that next level and growth. And, we will be in, several markets by the end of this year. Right now we're firmly based here in SoCal, but Texas, Florida, all those areas are areas we're already working and getting boots on ground right now, right? But tell us, like, what is it that separates us? Like, if someone wanted to join us, why should they join Voltaic? Like, what systems do we have? What is it that's going to allow them to become successful?
Yeah, there's a quote that I heard recently that says that you will never rise to your potential. You will always fall to the level of your systems. And I think that, there's a lot of really talented people in this industry, but if you don't have a system, you're just not going to win. And so, I think for people, the thing that we've got is we've got a really strong mentorship program, which means everybody who comes in does get one-on-one time. So that means you get specific time with a person who's going to be able to teach you how to do the doors, how to get in the home, like figuring out those systems. We have a progressive growth strategy, which basically allows people to come in and focus on learning one system as opposed to trying to learn the entire thing. So many companies will come in, give you a script, say, go out there, knock and sell deals. And it takes so many people fall by the wayside when that happens. So being able to say, okay, cool, we're going to do, we're going to teach you one skill set, and then once you mastered it, we're going to teach you the other skill set, specifically relating to like appointment creation and then, in-home closing. We've got, training platforms, digital training platforms that we've been able to develop some of our own, as well as utilizing some of the top salespeople in the industry to be able to give people that. And then we also have something that's like that's very unique to us, which is an integrated blitz model. And that's something that we've spent a lot of time mapping out and planning to try and make it really effective. But essentially, it's mixing really regular blitzing. Some companies will blitz one time, a year. Some companies try and blitz for a whole summer. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to integrate it into life. And so what we do is we basically have 10 days of blitzing every single month, which allows people to go extremely hard focusing on production with then meaningful rest afterwards, having a time where you're free of expectation to just manage your pipeline, spend time with your loved ones, travel, do the things that you want to do, and then be able to come back in and have 10 days devoted to just training and performance at home. So really excited to expand that model and just to realize that it is, I think, one of the kind of uniques that not only makes us unique, but something that the industry's been missing a lot is focus time for each one of those elements. So that's that for sure. We've had a really consistent sales strategy of just like when you go into a home, like why you do each piece, good fact finding that we build into our sales platform. Obviously, great education on the bill, but like we believe in training our people really well. Like most of our people, I've trained have come, even people who have come from the industry, they always stop and say, my goodness, I didn't get any of this when I first got into the industry. I run a Solar 101 on the first day, which is just how does the industry operate and that kind of thing. And some people who have been in the industry for 6 months didn't even know the basics. They didn't even know how energy works, how solar works. They were just out there told to sell a product. And when you do that, you never feel good about yourself, right? Because the thing that you need, as Jordan mentioned, to get over that anxiety is to have confidence. And the only thing that gives you confidence is knowledge. And so knowledge, then applied becomes expertise. And that's really where we're going to begin to develop. So we have, systems for personal development, books that people are required to read as a part of their development, sales strategies, for their homes, a functional integrated blitz model. And then, like I said, that one-on-one mentorship. So like for anyone that wants to find this as a career, there just isn't a place where you're going to get to the level of expertise that you will here with people actually taking the time to train and develop you. So that's stuff that is just near and dear to my heart. It's everything. I don't care whether you have never knocked on a door. I don't care whether you wait tables, whether you've been an accountant, whether you're the CEO and president of another company. You can come in here and we can teach you very systematically how to make at the very least a 6-figure income and moving up into high 6-figure incomes, if not 7-figure incomes. And that is so special because for those that are ambitious and have the drive, we'll teach you absolutely everything you need to know.
I think that's exactly what I wanted to touch on too, Bryce, because what's important for me in particular, and I know a lot of people feel this way. Look, going back, I have a master's degree, right? So it's like, where is this going to take me? Like solar, like get some flyers and go knock on doors and see what happens, right? It's like, nah, man, we have the rookie going, a straight trajectory to the mentor program, straight trajectory into a veteran, mentor, ADM, DM, director roles, right? There's like with this iteration of Voltaic, like there is a clear and direct line for people's upward mobility, Yeah. And I think in this space, that's so rare. To first of all, have the training platforms and the structures that we have, but also to know specifically, like if I did this is how I get to where I want to get to, And I think there's a lot of companies that just don't take the time to do that, And it comes from Bryce, a lot of these systems, they come in place, our training models, our sales process, and this iteration of how, the progression will go from, rookie to director and onward, I think it's just the intentionality behind it is really what sets our sales platform and our sales approach apart from a lot of other people, because we don't just willy-nilly go knock on a bunch of doors and see what happens, right? Like, it's intentional, and we learn and we talk a lot. We train Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, right? And we talk about what's working, what is not working, and so I think Bryce has built systems in place like we're talking about, because you don't rise to the level of, what did you say? Rise to the level.
You don't rise to the level of your potential. You fall to the level of your systems.
Right. And so
100%.
Yeah.
And I'll just say that,
bro.
sometimes I don't think I realize how spoiled I am that this is Voltaic is literally my only experience in the solar industry. So, hearing stories from other people outside of this company, like you said, they have no idea about certain things within this industry. So, I'm spoiled, and sometimes it's nice to take a step back and acknowledge that and appreciate that.
100%.
I think for me, it's always acknowledging too that we're far from perfect. Like, there's
Yeah.
so much better that we can get and that we try to get. And one thing that in the second iteration of Voltaic that I've been really intentional about is to try and question everything. Is to basically say, cool, like why do we do this the way we do it, right? And even in some of the conversations with Nick and Jake and Remy, like I'll pose the stupidest question. I'll be like, well, like, do we want to do that? And everyone's like, of course we want to do that. And I was like, all right. I just wanted to make sure we like actually ask the question, right? And it's just really a discipline for me right now of just saying, cool, if we're doing it, like, let's just make sure that we know why. And if it's good, then let's use it. And if it's not, like, let's be comfortable throwing out the things that everybody else in the industry has said you always have to do. And maybe you don't.
Right. Spot on. I think, obviously for us, what makes us unique, one of our three uniques for sure, is just the systems-driven, approach that we have towards developing sales reps. The how-tos, right? That's 20% of the job, but really the 80%, the mindset. Me pouring into you guys, just constantly on mindset, and Bryce constantly pouring into you guys on mindset, because ultimately that's it's the battle in between these ears is what's going to make or break you being successful or not. The civil war that you have going on in your head every day, right and wrong, right? Do it or don't. Right. And so, just to have those wins more consistently is something that we just continue to hammer home, and that process never stops. Right. It never stops. And so unique that we're so blessed to have such incredible leaders and influences here, like you guys. Like, you push me, like, even as individuals that that report to me, but it's you guys push me and keep me motivated and hungry, which is super exciting. You know what I mean? That be in a organization where like God, I have such incredible leaders that are coming and growing and developing, right? Like, I constantly have to get better, right? Like, if I'm not getting better, if I'm not reading more books, if I'm not, like, then we're dying, right? If Bryce and I aren't dying or aren't growing, we're dying. You know what I mean? And so, I constantly love that challenge by having such high level individuals working in the leadership team. But I think, Jordan talked about it. We have such a focus on personal development, and we always have. At the core of what we are as an organization, at the end of the day, is like personal development is core, right? That is what we are. Like, we're an organization that is centrally focused around personal development, and like, you could argue that's really like we're a personal development company at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Outside of just before we are even a sales company or a solar company, we're a personal development company. And I think what makes us unique, and there's a lot of people out there in our space that talk about personal development as being like a big part of their program, but I really honestly feel like we've taken it to a whole new level with kind of this new iteration and our vision behind what we're doing. And so talk a little bit about how we're going to be, talk about Generations Club, right? Something that has been a vision for us for some time that we've executed on now, because ultimately, like, why are we working so hard? Why are we going out there pushing so hard to earn such a high income, right? If we are not putting the money, the finances that we earn into other asset classes that are going to develop streams of income for ourselves so we can actually have generational wealth, right? And that's the vision behind Generations Club. I know so many of us are into real estate, crypto, finance, right? Like stocks, all these different, avenues of income streams that we're investing in. Talk a little bit about what we're doing with that, Bryce.
Yeah, I mean, there's kind of two real areas for it. One is in the knowledge side first, right? So we've committed to bringing in speakers every single month to talk to our team and teach them about areas that they're experts in, right? Whether it be real estate or crypto, whether it simply just be like personal development and mindset, things like that, because there really is no bigger asset than yourself, right? But yeah, I mean, like when the question you always kind of have to ask yourself in this industry is, well, what do you do when you make a lot of money? Or like, you might be somebody who, like I said, for me, the job that I was in before that taught me so much, I was making $28,000 a year. I was living in Texas, and that was, I thought, sufficient. That was kind of what I was used to. I didn't have eyes for anything bigger. And as you get into different, tax brackets, as you begin to kind of open that stuff up, it's like you've got to find purpose in being able to put that back in. So for us, the Generations Club is surrounded the idea of, cool, like let's put that money to work, right? Let's teach people how to do the thing, and then let's also give people an opportunity to do that, whether that's syndicated investments and being able to go in together on real estate investments, or just even being able to go and do really cool events and things that you've been wanting to do, bucket list items for people. So it's really a club that's kind of devoted to the next step after you become a successful sales rep and you get to make money. And so we don't expect it to be everybody in the company that'll be a part of it, but for those that are developing and putting themselves into pretty serious wealth, we want to help people channel that, especially since there's so many young guys and women in this industry that just they're making money and they just want to spend it. You know what I mean? And that can be fun, but like there's more purpose to that, right? So between that and then also giving back to the community and just like finding ways to reinvest money into people that aren't quite as fortunate, like those are things that are skills that everyone should develop, and something that we hope to really begin to make our team more and more aware of and begin to give them more opportunities for.
Yeah, we always talk about, if all we ever did was help people make a 6-figure income or plus, 7-figure income, that would be a big failure, right? That there's so much more that we can do with our opportunity to help impact people's lives, and it's interesting that we're on this topic because this morning, we had Jake Gerber come through and do a whole entire fire training on taxes, right? On how to, be responsible with your taxes. And so, at Voltaic, it is like, it's a holistic sort of thing, right? It's not just make a bunch of money and family and all that kind of stuff, right? But like, what are we doing this for? We talk about generational wealth. It's about being a well-rounded human being, and for me, that's what the real value is here, right? Is if we provide our reps with consistent value, right? And everything will come together, right? Is if we're acting out of service, right? And providing so much value that those reps are going to turn around and provide so much to the company as well.
100%, man. That's what it's about, man. Value. I talk it, I preach it, and that's what we're doing. That's what we have here at Voltaic, guys. And so, that pretty much concludes our first iteration, our first episode of the Voltaic podcast that we're going to be blasting out. So guys, let these guys know how they can get a hold of you. Let them know your tag, Instagram, all that good stuff.
Yeah, my IG is at Voltaic Dave, back where it needs to be. And you can shoot me a DM if you guys just want to connect or have any questions. I'm always available for sure.
Awesome.
It's at Felkner B is my Instagram handle, and you can find me at Bryce Felkner on Facebook as well.
Love it. Jordan?
I actually had to look mine up because I didn't know. It's J_Tafoya.
And we'll put these on the.
And so for me, guys, it's Success is the Mission. Success is the Mission on IG. You can find me there. Find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Nick Alexander Finger. Awesome, guys. And so that's a wrap, man. Until next time, let's rock and roll.